Hey everyone, this is essentially is part 2 of the Thermaltake TT CaseMod build. I did want to start filming this a little bit before I got to this stage, but given into all the issues I was running into time-wise, has to be finished within a week, and as you can see, it's not finished. I kind of couldn't spend the time recording a lot of things, but I did want to quickly go over where I'm picking up where we last left off. When we last off, I showed you guys in CAD kind of the planning idea of what I was going to do. And I said, you know, the next time we pick up, it is going to be powder coated with some parts. As you can see, a lot of parts are powder coated. Quick explanation for those of you joining for the first time. This is a Tower 600, okay? It's been gutted to the extent that it still maintains the shape, but I've also kind of removed everything from it, essentially. Everything you see here from the front to the back to the inside, the top glass, these are all custom made parts. There's very little case left, to be honest with you. I can't, these rails, and that's the case. The rest of it is all from scratch. All right, so we have the motherboard on one side, which is something I'm still working on. I'll quickly bring it into view, and I'll show you guys on CAD what I'm working on, because it's not done yet. Essentially, I have powder-coated parts of the motherboard, okay? Because this is an ASRock Z890 Lightning, and it's fairly basic, I've decided to design some armor for it, so it doesn't look so basic. Kind of just giving that spoof-up look, which I'll show you guys in CAD. You probably see it now, photo on the side. I'm still working on that armor. It's not finished, which is why I'm not showing you fully, but I'm gonna wrap it up between today and tomorrow. A little more about the other side of this case. Let me flip it around. All right, so on this side, you'll notice that the GPU has been mounted. This is the cover for the GPU. As part of the point system, you're granted extra points if you create some type of cover for the GPU. So this is a custom cover with then a CNC part. I think I showed this to you guys last time, uncut. I mean, cut on a 1.5 millimeter was kind of messed up. So I recut it on 3 millimeter aluminum, and obviously it's been powder coated. And on the bottom, we have the res holder. It says TT. I know it's probably hard to see on this side. So what's holding the res down is actually one of these things. This is version 2. Right. Essentially, you can see that it says TT on one side and it says Porsche on the other, because that's kind of theming, and the other sponsors are on here as well. But that one actually has filleted edges rather than just flat. It's been done with the same thing I did the exhaust. It's essentially black clear followed by graphite powder. And before I go into the bases, probably you guys are wondering what's with the base. I'm going to go over the rear real quick, and then we'll move on to the base. This is the rear. You can see that I did the graphite powder thing here too. This is actually where the power plug goes in. It's done by a custom extension going into the SFX PSU that sits in the middle of the chamber. I'll show you guys the middle in a second. This also has LED circles inside that will light up. There's a hole here because the power button is supposed to go there. I'm going to put that in within a couple days or so. Essentially, unfortunately, I have to redo these black frames. For those of you who don't know, these are not factory lids. These are essentially 3D printed, put together. This is one of the mess ups. And unfortunately, due to the weather in the Northeast not having warmed up at all, and the inability to find a shop to do any 2K clear coat, my clear coat failed miserably, even with the heater and a small tent. So I oversanded on it, so now I have to paint them again. So I have to, I mean, these are the messed up ones. I have 2 that I've restarted that I'm in this process of, Bondo right now, and then we'll put the black on there. I'm actually thinking that maybe the matte black might look better than a glossy black. I'm not too sure, but this is definitely not up to par. All right, you can kind of see the haziness. So it's not fixable. The clear one on too thin, and it had orange peel from the weather. It just didn't go well, and we're going to have to redo that. But yeah, I may go matte black, just see how it looks. I mean, it's going to be matte black before I put the clear on, so I'm going to get a look at that. But with that said, let's go into the base here. As you can see from the base, I do have my logo on the rear side. This base is actually 3 120mm fans. And if running why the fans are not in there yet is because I had to buy new Thermaltake fans because the ones I plan to use, the magnetic connector got in the way. So I can't use those. It's also once these, hold on guys, let me rotate this thing again. So once the fans get populated inside, there's another cover that goes over like this, and this will kind of diffuse the RGB light, and it'll kind of give it that Euro clear look. That's kind of what I was going for. Also, what you're not seeing on the case is the bottom glass. The bottom glass, well, smoked acrylic, is going to be matching in terms of, you know, the hole pattern. You can say Tower 600, can sit right in there, and it lines up perfectly with the base, so ventilation is not an issue. Moving into this front side, you'll see that I actually do have the Porsche emblem in the front, and J Custom at the bottom, of course. This is actually the factory Porsche emblem. I was gonna do a Turbonite, and I decided to go with the black because the rest is black, so I didn't get the Turbonite. As you can see, all my water cooling is actually in this core here. This is temporary. I do have to redo these with some of the TT fittings. Just kind of try to see if my loop was actually going to work and fit. And since it does fit, I have to go replace the fittings afterwards. But what you're not seeing here is also a 280 radiator, which is not powder coated yet. So yeah, you can see things are in a rush. So that's going to be powder coated sometime tomorrow, and then that will come on there. And also the mod cubes that I'm using, like these silver things, they're all going to be replaced with powder coated red ones to match. So that's a small detail. Even though you're not going to see them inside, I'm going to do it anyway. So this is going to have to come apart again. But this is just pretty much test fitting. All right, so you can see here, this is pretty much where all my space is. So that screen is there. It's going to come wired to the GPU directly here. But in here, I have all my water cooling. I have cables that I still need to make. These are temporary because I need to fix that TTPSU. I need to modify it because it doesn't fit exactly. The power switch gets in my way, so I need to gut that switch out, which is why I have a temporary Loki in here, but that's going to come out for the TT one. And also you can see that these cables are super long, so obviously I'm going to have to make some cables real quick because I did get CaseMod ones, but then I ordered the wrong thing, so I still have to make them myself, which isn't going to be great given the time crunch. But here's the PCI riser cable coming from the GPU side. There's going to be another cover here, and this part's blank because there's going to be an 8.8 inch screen here. I'm still working on the mounting mechanism. I know I did do one for the Tower 600 before, but this one's going to be a little bit of improvement on that. So this is the rough holder that's going to hold it. Obviously, the end result is going to be machined out of acrylic, black. I think aluminum is just too heavy and too time consuming. But this was going to go right here in the back to hold it. This one's obviously not the right size. And then in the front, we'll have like a 6mm plate aluminum. It's like 5.6mm. And we'll use that, and then we'll cut this out of aluminum. And this will kind of screw on to the front like so. And this obviously, you know, the metal one will be powder coated. And it will match completely. I did get the original covers powder coated as well. But I decided I'm not going to use them. So I'm actually going to have one small screen, the monitor essentially connected, and then the screen here. So that's 3 screens, and I think that's enough. I may not even use that little TT screen because I'm not a huge fan of it. But it is a TT thing, and you know, I figure if I can use more TT mod things, more TT items in my TT mod, I guess I will. But you can see here, sorry, it's like falling apart here. This side has the Porsche text logo here. It's probably hard to tell because it's so dark. There's going to be some lighting in here. I don't even know how I'm going to work that out right now. But let me just quickly talk about, we originally had talked about my last video, some of the smart AI features for this build right here. I'm going to quickly just go over the concept for it, and then when I put up the final video sometime next weekend, you guys are going to see it in action. Essentially, the board wherever it is. Oh, before I forget, I did do the front. This is the front. I think I did that last time, but it wasn't glossy yet. So the front has been done. It's not perfect on the clear coat either because of the weather, but it will do. But you know, if this build does make it to Computex in Taipei, which I self-confidence tells me it will, I will probably have those redone. I will probably re-hydro dip those because I hydro dipped those in carbon fiber, and I kind of messed it up, and it just didn't look good. You know, hydro dipping is a skill. With carbon fiber especially, because if you don't dip at the right speed, it's super obvious you didn't dip it at an even speed. So that's going to be redone, and also obviously the black tarps are being redone. And what else? I may, I don't know. I may redo some of this stuff. Like the exhausts are not perfect. This is not perfect, but it's okay. I kind of wanted that kind of in use look, not pristine. But the exhausts, while good, have some blemishes. Like they're very tiny, but you know I'm really anal. So I'm gonna redo those if this goes to Computex. But you know, that's also a time constraint thing because I do have something else right after this. But yes, so what was I saying? Yes, so back to the AI, smart, etc. The board, oh wow, I just tested it, was working yesterday. But I did load up the nvme drive. It is running, I do have Olama running with DeepSeek, Alibaba's Quen model, which I don't think fit on a 4070 Ti Super essentially. But I think I may have to go with the I think the Meta's, what's that called? I can't remember what Meta's model is called. The 3.2, because it's so small, it fits on the VRAM of the 4070 Ti Super. Unfortunately, you know, if this was like a 4090 or something, it'd be so much better in terms of, you know, response rate. So I digress. Anyways, it's running AI models locally on the motherboard. Obviously, it's not connected right now. It's also running the web UI locally, so it can function as ChatGPT or whatever you want to call it locally. It has a local image generator as well, although not the best. But I've also have it hooked up, and I'm still working on this, which also doesn't help timeline-wise, to be my voice assistant to control items, right? Kind of like Home Assistant. So it's an integration with Home Assistant to have the AI respond and control things. So for example, the lighting down here will be controlled by voice assistant, and it is working pretty well. I do have it so that I can query it like, oh, what's my tire pressure in the garage? And it tells me my tire pressure. So it's actually working out pretty well. And it gives me like ridiculously long replies if I ask this something. So I also need to kind of narrow that down a bit. But I did want to, in doing all this, bring that whole AI PC into AI PC, right? Because I mean, a lot of us use ChatGPT and so forth, but we're all using it cloud-based. Not a lot of us are running it locally. And I just wanted to run it locally to really say that, you know, even when this is on display with no internet connection, it still responds to you, still does things. Unfortunately, obviously, it's not going to control lights that aren't there. I mean, unless I put two lights next to it at Computex and tell it to control lights. But I wanted this thing, hopefully, the next time I do a video on this, you guys will see it in my smaller room in front of the TV, and I will tell it to do whatever, and it will do whatever. And it will set the mood for me, you know, start my game, etc., do all that. That's the goal. And I have not much time to make that happen outside of finishing this build. But so that's where we are. Yeah, show you guys real quick. You know, actually, I think I have one of the draft plates right here. So this is one of the draft armor plates. Obviously, it didn't work out too well. I originally designed this to have another PCIe cover that screws onto it through the back. But then I realized that I kind of like this look. It's nice and glossy. It looks kind of automotive, so I decided I'm not going to cover the riser. So my version 2, which is now having primer on it and everything, it has the logo for the Phantom Gaming, which is the ASRock thing. And you can see I did a lightning because there's a lightning bolt, and I did the Z8 Lightning TT CaseMod. You know, I mean, on the final one, these letters are going to be in red, you know, but, you know, you guys get the idea. So there's still a lot to do. I really wish I had done more video on this, but I just couldn't time constraint wise. But I'm hoping to make it up for you guys for a really cool final video on it functioning and working. But yeah, so that's where we are. I'm going to include the links to see other people's projects on the forum. You know, this competition ends March 31st. You know, there's going to be a voting at that time, like I'm going to say. Vote for me if you like what I did. Vote for someone else if you like what they did. Right. So, but as you know, more the community participates, the more that these kind of events can happen. So with that said, thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll probably see an upload about this in a week. All right. Take care.